Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Collector's Vault. My name is Mike. I want to talk about the state of collectibles right now, given that we're in this, horrible, stock market crash. Again, I don't want to use that bad C word, so I'm just going to call it the X-Parasite invasion. As I kind of learned that apparently in the collectible card community, there's been a kind of a weird little phenomenon going on. Now, it kind of makes sense that in the Magic community right now, certain vintage cards are actually starting to go down in price. Like people are actually just some of the bigger companies are just not buying them right now. They're the buy lists are being pulled down, or their buy list prices are just absurdly low because they just don't. I'm sure that they just don't want to buy anything right now unless it's for absolutely dirt cheap. If you go online, you'll see that there's sealed vintage booster boxes that are apparently the cheapest that they've ever been. I'm not too familiar with this, so I'm just kind of going off of some of my my sources. I learn a lot from Rudy from Alpha Investments. You guys should all check him out. And even the actual singles in the vintage Magic community, it's seem to be going down a little bit. And again, it kind of makes sense given that we're in that bit of a recession, And I'm pretty sure that they're not even at that bottoming out point yet. Now, in the Pokemon community, I can't help but notice that the Sword and Shield set that came out, it's still doing well. So modern Pokemon's doing just fine. In the vintage Pokemon world, I was kind of looking up some old cards, anything from the old, just mainly the old WotC stuff. And I would just for example, I was looking up first edition base set Charizards, PSA graded, and I noticed that there's a fair amount of them there are no longer on the market, and I'm not sure if they have been sold or if they're just being pulled off, just pulled off the market because people don't want to sell them right now. Maybe they're worried that they're gonna. I mean, well, it's funny because you would think potentially right now they're gonna go down in price. So you wouldn't want to pull it at the current price that it's at. You'd rather just let it stay there, I guess. Because obviously if you want to panic sell, you would pull it and relist it. But right now, there's just they're not even being listed at lower prices. There just aren't that many on there right now. For example, a PSA 8. I mean, it's very, obviously, yeah, PSA 10, you might see one or two on eBay. But sometimes they're at, completely unrealistic prices. But so I was kind of looking at PSA 8s, and I realized there's just none out there on eBay. And I think there's one. I think I saw one that was the gray stamp, and that was also for much more than the average 8 goes for. Because I was thinking not that long ago, a PSA a 9 would go for anywhere between $6,000 to $7,000, depending on what the best offer is. 8s were anywhere between $3,500 to $4,000, so that was kind of a more narrow window. And I think at this point, maybe someone just gobbled them up. I don't know. Maybe people are starting to think this is the good time to buy. Which again, you would think they would go down right now during this whole X-Parasite invasion thing, but no, it's not. It doesn't seem to be the case. Or I'm just completely misinformed, and which is possible because I am a certified moron. Now in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, again, the vintage cards seem to be. There seems to be a lot of small buyouts. Basically, cards are just being gobbled up. Anywhere between the old school OTs, first edition OTs from the GX era, first edition Ghost Rare also from the GX era, and some from the 5Ds era. The original Generation 1 of Yu-Gi-Oh, some of those vintage cards, it's just they just seem to be going away. People are just either buying them, and when they have them, they're not letting them go. Now, it's possible that they just don't want to let them go because they feel well, we're in that downward part of the market. So it's well, I could sell it now before it goes even lower in value, before it hits that bottoming out point, or just hold the cards, and eventually in the future they will naturally get out of that bottoming out point and then go up in price, and over time they will appreciate. So, but it was kind of interesting how they just seem to be buying right now. If anything, I'm keeping my eye out on everything because I feel in a few months maybe even potentially up to a year. Who knows? It all depends on how the fallout of this recession is. There could be a really good movement in the future to pick up some stuff for a good price. But I guess we're just not at that point yet. But we're seeing all these buyouts, so it's kind of interesting. Nevertheless, while I'll be looking at all these looking at the secondary market to see where these bottoming up points will be and try to take advantage of it as much as I can. In the meantime, I figured we should talk about some fun in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, which apparently we just got a ban list, and we have a new set kit that came out, Dual Overload. Now, the funny thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh is in a bit of a dull state. Right? Actually, that's probably not a good word. It's more like it's kind of stagnant because there really isn't much going on. Locals are they're not able to hold tournaments. There's no regionals going on, and I'm very sure there's no YCSs. Like they're just not happening. I mean, besides like some like, you know, smaller scale things being done by people just kind of like locally by friends. And I'm not quite sure what's going to happen as far as like the national tournament. Like I'm not even sure if they're going to be able to hold it because it's just, or they'll postpone it and then postpone Worlds. I'm really not sure. Maybe they just won't have them because of everything that's going on right now. The whole world is like this is not just affecting North America and Europe. It's affecting the whole world. Which, you know, we all know that. So besides that, right now, if you want to play cards, you can play. You know, you can play physically with your cards, but it's kind of tough. And I know it's recommended to not go over your friend's house and meet up in big groups to play cards. So it's kind of unfortunate. On the bright side, you do have online media such as like Dueling Book. And I think Dueling Book is a great tool for anybody just to keep playing the game, to be active in the game, to test, you know, to kind of get ready for when this whole quarantine thing kind of goes away. This might be a good thing just to do in the meantime. Now, I highly recommend that if you can support your local store, please do it. I'm sure they are struggling and they're having a hard time trying to reach out to their clients, to you guys, to say, hey, I have cards in stock. Like, you know, Dueling came out. I'm sure they want you to pick it up. Secret Slayer just came out. I'm sure they want you to pick it up. Whether it be like curbside pickup, order by mail, I'm not quite sure. But I mean, like, you should really try to support your local store and try to pick up some cards, especially if you just want to remain active in the game, and obviously if you just like the cards. So I thought it'd be kind of fun just to talk about that, and as well, I want to talk about some upcoming, a few cards that I think are really going to change the game for the better. And the biggest ones I think are Union Carrier, Crystron, it's Needle Fiber. I'm not calling it by its real name. And the Simorg Link, which I don't even know what the guy's name is. Simorg Bird of Sovereignty. There we go. Now, these guys are all crazy cards. I think they can almost fit in any single deck, which is kind of crazy. And I'm going to show you guys how you can incorporate these in some of your decks. I'm not going to show you how you incorporate it in every deck, but I do have a couple fun decks that I've done videos on. Dinosaurs, recently Fire Fist, and even Ancient Warriors. Ancient Warriors aren't really going to make good use of these guys because they're not really an extra deck, but still, I do want to kind of talk about what I think is going to be going on with the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. We have a brand new set coming out later, and well, I think in about a month away, Eternity Code, which is really going to shake things up. I mean, you know, not maybe like as a whole, in the context of the game, it's going to shake it up, but as far as like the meta goes, you know, right now again, there are no tournaments, so I guess the meta is kind of like a undetermined thing. It's kind of just like whatever's the most popular on Dueling Book. But regardless, I was really excited to see that we got some new cards, we got a new ban list, and now we're Master Rule 5, which I was so excited. I was so excited I took my pants off. That's how excited I was. So I just want to talk about some of the decks I want to be playing. I want to show you guys maybe like some combos. I want to show you guys how you can incorporate some of these crazy new Link monsters, and just how you can abuse extra deck monsters that are not Links in Master Rule 5. And so, with all that said, let's go to the table.